podcast. My name's Amanda. I'm here with my lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Jeanette.
And today we are filming from a different room than we normally do. So there's some background noise. That is why we are filming in my spare room, because I recently adopted another kitty. He's so cute. He's looking out the window right now. So we are in the room with him right now because he has been introduced to my other cats, but they're not fully friends yet. Of course, it's only been about a week. So we're going to spend some time here with Dusty is his name. I have some photos on my Instagram that I'll post as well with him, but his name is Dusty. I will say one of my top names. So Morocco is named after the Moroccan Pavilion in Epcot, of course, but one of my top names for him was Berlin, that I really wanted to name him for Germany. My husband didn't really like Berlin, and then the other name I really loved was Lucifer, and he did like Lucifer, but it just ended up not being the top name for him either. Of course, Lucifer is the cat in Cinderella, which he did not know.
That's what I thought. Cinderella. Okay.
Yeah, he did not know that, and I didn't tell him. I was hoping he'd pick Lucifer, not knowing
not knowing it was a Disney name.
Yeah, he doesn't look like Lucifer. Like, Lucifer is a very specific cat breed, and he's not that cat breed, but he is a gray cat, though. He's a little lighter. All right, now he's cleaning his face. He has food all over his face because we just fed him.
He's a sloppy eater.
He is. All right, today we are going to talk some 10 tips for your first trip to Disney World. So me and my mom have been to Disney World many a time.
5 tips.
Yeah, so it's 5 each. So I have 5 and my mom has 5.
I thought I did something wrong here.
No, yeah, so I have 5 tips. My mom has 5 tips, but total we're going to have 10 tips for your first trip to Disney World. And so, yes, we both been to Disney World, of course, many a time at this point. So it's sort of all over the books. Again, we did not actually reference what we both chose as our tips, so we'll see if it's actually a true 10, if it's going to be less than 10. Okay. So watch as we pick the same exact things.
I would think we have to overlap a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure there is some overlap, but either way, it's like we'll still kind of expand on each one. But all right,
it's
Mom,
also tough because I haven't been a first time at a Disney World in like 35 years.
Yeah, I know.
So you get so used to what you do that it's like human nature. Like what we're doing is just rote at this point. Okay, take this, take that, don't take that, and we're here. Okay.
For sure. All right, what is your number 5 tip?
My number 5 was packing.
Yeah,
I thought packing was a big thing to be prepared for Disney, because there's times that we go to Disney that we have not been prepared. Okay, even as much as I say that I'm not a first timer, no matter when you go, you always get some kind of surprise. It's either too cold, too wet, too windy, too hot. There's always a surprise. So my thing about it is just be prepared for the weather. You got to look at the reports, but even when you look at the weather reports, as we know, they don't always get it right. So you never know. And we've been there where it's been beautiful and you're in shorts, and the next day you're looking for an extra Disney sweatshirt to wear. And what you don't want to do is be what we've done, is where we get stuck and you have like 5 Disney sweatshirts, because every time you go there, you have to buy another one because you're freezing to death.
Yeah.
So there was times when we've gotten stuck where we lost her luggage one time and it was winter time. Now, Disney's a little better about that now these days. Disney now has
they have full
clothing
these
for
days.
each season.
Yeah, like full winter, like parkas. Like
yes,
full
the first time this happened.
Yeah, years ago they didn't have stuff like
what
that.
happened is that we were stuck where we lost Amanda's luggage. It was cold, and they had nothing to wear for the cold. It was like impossible to find anything that you could wear. When you get stuck there in a season, it was always hard. Now I have to say it's a little easier to pack because they have everything for every season. When it's winter, they've got winter clothes. When it's raining, they've got rain jackets and things now made with the Mickeys on them and everything. That wasn't the same when we used to go when the kids were little. So it's gotten a little better. But I think the packing is what you really have to pay attention to, in the fact that think to yourself, let me take one little piece of clothing just in case it gets cold, or just in case it's too hot, or just in case we want to do something different as opposed to go here or go there. So packing something you really should think about before you go to Florida.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I didn't have anything on packing actually in any of my tips, but I would agree, because sometimes you just never know. It's like it's always just good to plan ahead and always good to just have, and especially too sometimes even in the summer, even you may think it's like, oh, I won't need a sweatshirt. It's like sometimes the restaurants can be a little cold, or or it's like at night, like especially in like the transitional seasons, it will be very hot during the day but then very cool at night, and then suddenly you're sweating during the day but now you're freezing at night. So it's like sometimes you have to carry
it. Also
that
depends upon what park you're in. I mean, some parks are windy, like Epcot has a little bit more of a wind, so it's a little colder, and so you never know. So you need to like sort of have that little bit to fall back.
All right, so my first tip here, my number 5, is consider the time of year you want to go. So specifically here, like weather is a good thing. So like if you don't really like that hot weather, July is definitely not the time to go. Vice versa, if you're afraid to risk the cold weather, January maybe is not the time to go. Right. But I mean this more specifically in what you want to experience in the park. So for instance, do you want to see the holiday decor? Do you want to see like the Halloween decor? What festivals are going on in Epcot that you may be looking at seeing? Like what firework displays as well, because sometimes the displays do change change as well. So like those are the things I feel like
the timing is different.
Yeah, that it's like not always obvious necessarily when you're going for your first time, because sometimes it's like you're just going based on the school calendar or like when you're able to fit in this trip or something. But other times it's like if you want to see the Halloween decor, you can go in August. So it's like you can go in August and see all the Halloween stuff. Everything will be set up in August. So if you can't make it in October, maybe August is the time to go if you still want to see those items. Same thing for maybe some of the Christmas and holiday stuff. It's like a lot of that gets set up in November. So if you can't go in December, maybe November is the time for you, right? And then vice versa too. If you don't want to see any of the holiday stuff, you want to see the parks as they are, then maybe the early spring is the best time to go. So just something to, I guess, to keep in mind, because at this point we've seen the parks in all times of the year. So I really don't think there's a time of the year we have not seen the parks overall, and they're fun all the times. So it's just that there's a priority.
Right. It's sort of a priority of what kind of weather, like you said, what kind of schedule you want to be on. Sometimes the parks have the fireworks really late, like Magic Kingdom. It changes according to the season. You're right. So you have to figure out what season you want to go in and what time. Everything kind of plays into that.
For sure. All right. What is your next tip?
I think food is a big thing for me, and I'm sure some other people too. And I'm not saying that you have to figure out what you're eating at Disney. What I decided was it would be really good to at least look at the food options before you go to the park. Because I find that sometimes when you go to the park, you want certain times, certain food, certain things. And then what happens is you're going completely across the park to go get something to eat. And then you've got to go completely back to where you're going. So if you make yourself aware of all of the options that there are in the park, then at least you know that you can stop, get this at this section, get this at that section. Some of the parks have lots of choices. Like I think Epcot and Magic Kingdom, you can get something to eat no matter which section of the park you're in. Whether you want to sit down, whether you want to not sit down, whether you want a snack, whether you want something healthy, you can kind of get what you need in Epcot and Magic Kingdom. I think that Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom makes that choice just a little harder. It's harder to find things that you may all want to eat, or things where you can go sit down and get a snack or get certain foods. And some of the stuff in Animal Kingdom is hidden. Like you don't even realize they have seating and different things that you're not used to. So I feel that if you go, before you go, there's lots of information out there to tell you in the park what food is available, what kiosks sell what quick stands sell, what restaurants you need reservations for. I think before you go, and especially if the weather is a consideration, you want to kind of figure out where everything is that you might be interested in. And then in between, you're going to find all kinds of stuff that you can just pick on.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I'm going to save that because I kind of have stuff about food into a different tip. So instead, I'm going to go to my next tip, which is to take full use of Disney advantages. So for this, I mean, there's a lot of things that Disney has that's included in your park ticket or included if you're staying on property. So for instance, if you're in the park and you have kids, you can do rider switch. Now that is when big roller coaster, let's say, and you and your partner and you and the adult family members or the older kids want to go on a ride, but some of the younger kids aren't tall enough yet for the ride. So rider switch allows that you can kind of switch between the riders. So one can stay with the child who cannot go on the ride yet, and the adults or the older children can go on the ride. And then this way you don't have to keep waiting on the same line multiple times or have your young child wait on the line, because then again, you can just do the rider switch. It's very easy. The way you do it is that you just go up to any of the lightning lanes that are there and you just tell the cast member we want to do rider switch, and they will walk you through what to do and they will help you do it for that specific ride. It's basically the same for every ride, but some rides are a little bit different. So just note that. So, yeah, so just make sure if you're doing rider switch, I definitely suggest that. Another Disney advantage is the family care center. So each park will have a family care center and a full first aid center. These are really great if you forgot anything to do with your kids, any baby formula, if you need like extra blankets or towels or anything like that. They even have like cots for people to lay down on. So if a kid needs to take a nap and you've been struggling to get them to sleep in the stroller, you can take them to the family care center. They have everything for mothers too. Again, for breastfeeding mothers, again, formula, anything like that is all there. And again, you don't have to really pay any extra for that. They kind of just allow you to come in and take care of your kids. This is a Disney park, right? It's like Disney caters to families. They know families are going to have kids. They know you're going to forget something or you're going to need something extra for your child. So definitely take use of that. Another advantage as well is that unlike other theme parks in the world, Disney does allow you to bring your own snacks and drinks. So there are some things around that, like you can't bring like full coolers and like, full certain things with like ice and everything into the parks. But you can bring snacks and sandwiches or other food and drinks into the parks, which is really great. That's a great money saver. Food can be very expensive in the park. So if you can bring your own items into the park, it's like definitely do so. And then another thing I have here is just the Disney transportation. So Disney transportation is often quicker than other modes of transportation. Not always. Sometimes it takes a long time, especially if the monorail's down or the Skyliner's down or something, but it is at no extra cost. And I think that's the greatest part about Disney transportation. So again, it's like if you're going between parks, if you're park hopping, you can take that Disney transportation between parks, like take the Friendship boat or take the Skyliner between Epcot and Hollywood Studios, or the monorail between Epcot and Magic Kingdom. So that's always always really great. And again, too, if you're staying on Disney property, take that Disney transportation, right? You're already on Disney property. Might as well take that bus or that Skyliner or that monorail to wherever you're going. Don't pay for those Ubers or those minivans because they can be expensive, and you might as well just take the Disney transportation when you're able to. Very sad that the Magical Express is no more, but it is what it is with that one. So
okay, my next tip was plan out a very loose itinerary and allow for rest times during the day.
Yeah, that's
okay. I think that what happens is, and everybody gets into this, is that when you are realizing that you're going to Disney, there is so much to do, so much to see, so much to get involved in. Just it's overwhelming to somebody whose first time it is. And what happens is once you get to those parks, there could be all kinds of delays. I mean, delays are not just delays of you. Delays are transportation, as Amanda was just talking about. Sometimes there's delays on the transportation. You can't get on one bus. You got to get on another one. One time we had a bus break down. We had to wait for another bus to come and pick us up. So you've got transportation things. You've got weather delays. You've got rides that are closed. You've got, lines on the food lines that are so long that you've got to, even if you put in what they have now, the pre-order and stuff, you're still waiting for your food. There are so many things that could stop your schedule from happening that at least if you build in a little bit of extra time in between, not to think that you're going to do everything. I got to go from here to there to there to there to there. Most days you can do that. And if you have the stamina for it, which we used to have when I was young, you could do that, go from this to that to the other thing. But you just have to realize that when you're planning out your itinerary, don't try to overlap too much because overlapping is going to kill you. You're never going to get to it. Somewhere something's going to give. And maybe one of your favorite rides that you wanted to go on is going to be the one that gives because you can't get to it or can't do something. So that was my other thing, is just don't get overwhelmed. Try to plan an itinerary that allows for you to take some time of rest during the day.
I have a tip that's similar to this, but the one thing I want to emphasize that you just said is just about taking breaks. I think taking breaks is important. Taking breaks during the day, but even if you're going for a 7-day trip, maybe take a break in the middle of the week and not go to a park and have a resort day, or again, just like take it easy. Because there's a lot of walking, right? It's a lot of walking. Not everyone's used to walking.
Even, steps, I mean, if you're going to be there for a long time, that's what we used to do. We used to do a pool day.
Yeah, or something.
Or a little miniature golf day, or go to Disney Springs for the day.
Go see a movie, right? It's like, taking breaks for yourself and then, again, for your physical health too, because it is a lot in these parks, especially if it's hot too.
Yeah.
All right. My next tip is if you see a souvenir that you like, so let's say you're walking around the park, you see a souvenir that you like. My tip is that there is a possibility you won't see that souvenir again. So I would suggest to buy it when you see it.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Now I say this because especially in Animal Kingdom, this is the big park, right? A lot of souvenirs in Animal Kingdom are Animal Kingdom exclusive.
Yes, you don't see them anyplace else.
You won't see them in Disney Springs. You won't even see them on like DisneyStore.com or anything like that. You will have to buy them in the park. And again, Animal Kingdom is the big one, but every park is going to have it too. Also, like the World Showcase in Epcot. A lot of those items at the World Showcase of Epcot, you will only see in the World Showcase of Epcot. So if you see those items, buy them now. Even some of the Star Wars items in Hollywood Studios and some of the Toy Story Land items, they're exclusive to those areas or even just to the park in general. So just I would just suggest to get those items now. Now they have finally brought back where you can purchase items in the park and pick up those items in the front of the park later in the day. So it's 9 a.m. you found this huge stuffed animal that you love, you're going to purchase it, but you don't want to carry it around all day till park closed. Again, you can usually send it to the front of the park and you can pick it up when you leave. Now try to remember to pick it up when you leave, right? You don't want to forget it. But again, that just helps a little bit so you're not always carrying every souvenir, because I realize it is a lot to always be carrying these souvenirs. But at the same time though, it's like I feel like we've definitely missed out on certain things. It's like, oh, we can get that in World of Disney. Nope, you cannot get that in World of Disney. You had to get it there. So one of my favorite items I've ever bought is this beach towel in Animal Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw it a few times when I went to Animal Kingdom. It was outside the water ride that they have there. What's that called? Not
Holly River Rapids.
Yeah, outside of Holly River Rapids, they had this beautiful Animal Kingdom towel that was out, and I saw it a few times. I was finally like, you know what, I am going to buy it. So I did, and they never sold it again. That pattern is gone now, and I'm so glad I have it. But yeah, I never saw that pattern of towel anywhere else. Nowhere else. It was only sold in this one cart in Animal Kingdom, right? And I would just want to say too, when it comes to Disney souvenirs too, they can be very expensive. So sometimes before you go, it may be worth to buy things before you go to Disney, like on Etsy or at Target or Primark or Old Navy, and even Kohl's I think has some like actual Disney merchandise that you can purchase. So you can have Disney souvenirs when you go, but then you're not paying the full expensive Disney prices too. That's another tip too, in case like you don't want to be paying for all these Disney stuff.
Right, the ears and
especially Disney
and
ears,
sweatshirts.
Yeah, the mini ears can be very expensive, and again, you can go on Etsy or
my
even
favorite
DIY
Disney
ones.
sweatshirt comes from Primark.
Yes, I'm saying it's like I have one from H&M that I love. This yellow one from H&M. So yeah, there's lots of Disney stuff you can buy outside of Disney and then just bring with you, or even like gift to your children once you get there, so they don't maybe they don't realize you didn't buy it in Disney, but then they still feel like they're getting a special souvenir in Disney. But then you also didn't pay the Disney price, because again, everything can add up really quickly.
Everything is really expensive.
Yeah, it's like things add up quickly when you're in the parks. So, but again, I would just say, if you see that souvenir, definitely purchase that souvenir. So, all right, do you want to do your next one?
Yes, my next one sort of is connected almost to the last one, I realize. It's be flexible. You got to go to Disney with the idea that you're going to be flexible. There are times when schedules change. There are times when there are road closures. You've got personalities involved. You've got food issues involved. It's just so many things. The weather could be the problem. I think that being flexible and saying, okay, we're going to go. We're going to try to do as much as we can do. But whatever it is, so that you don't miss out on what you're doing. Because if you get annoyed because they've rerouted you someplace else, or you get annoyed because you have a lightning lane and get there and it's closed and you have to worry about coming back at another time, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. You're going to be, worrying about everything else. So I think that and I know that I'm sure I didn't do this when we were first there and the kids were young, but it's something you need to think about, is to really just have that kind of flexible attitude. And why I say that is because every time I did one of these things, I realized in my mind, when you get to Disney, it is just so overwhelming. There is just so much to do.
So much noise, colors, people.
Noise, colors, rides, people, food,
sounds,
snacks, characters, people coming and going, lines for this, lines for that. Everybody's got to rush here and rush there. I think that you just need to understand that you got to be flexible with your things. Now, I know it's a little harder to be flexible these days because of park reservations, because of when you do make a reservation for food at a restaurant, if you don't cancel it within 24 hours, they're going to try to charge you. There are ways to get around that. But the idea here is that as much as you have to do some things you have to plan, you really do need to have a little bit of flexibility.
All right. So, I definitely agree. Being flexible is so important, honestly. And I sort of have that in my next tip as well, too. So this is kind of like a calling back to what you were saying before, but in a general sense, it's very good to research beforehand. Now, this seems like a very obvious tip, but I'm going to put a few specific things to research beforehand right now.
Okay.
So the first is Lightning Lane worth it for you? So of course, Lightning Lane can be very costly, right? It can be very expensive, but often it can be worth it. Sometimes it's not worth it though. If you're going to go enjoy the snacks, enjoy the ambiance, do certain festival things, then maybe you don't need Lightning Lane if you're only going to go on a few rides. Or again, if you're doing some of the after-hour parties, you may not need Lightning Lane because the after-hour parties notoriously have shorter lines. But otherwise though, maybe Lightning Lane is worth it for you if you're going in, 4th of July week or something like that. Another thing is like, do you need to book strollers, right? So like you can often book a stroller with Disney itself or even with third-party vendors that you can pick up the strollers or pick them up in your hotel as well. And that's really important too if you're realizing that maybe it's too much to carry your own stroller with you. As my mom talked about before, it's really good to research the food options as well. But another thing too is like as my mom knows, because she's the one who does this, but table service restaurants are booked 60 days in advance.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
During busy seasons especially.
Yep. So you need to mark, like again, it's kind of annoying in that sense that you need to mark your calendar 60 days before you actually go on your trip, so that way you can get your favorite table service restaurant lined up. Now that's not to say that the week of you can get table service restaurant reservations. You definitely can, but most if not all Disney restaurants in the parks, they require a reservation, and you will need that.
And let's put it this way: the ones that are really good, because we do pick and choose, because some of the Disney restaurants, and as much as they're Disney restaurants, they're not that good. The ones that are good that people really want to go to, it is very hard to get a reservation after that 60-day mark at the time you want to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So and the worst that could happen is a day before you look at it and say, no, we don't really want to sit down at that restaurant, or we don't want to do this, or we don't want to do that, and you can always just cancel it. It's not a big deal.
You can cancel 2 hours before your reservation.
Yes.
You're not penalized at all.
Right.
And that's a good thing to know too, because again, the week of, people are always canceling reservations.
Oh, that's right.
So
they changed it.
Yep.
I forgot about that. They did change it. It used to be that 24 hours
24
before.
Hours. Now it's 2 hours.
Now it's just 2 hours before. So you can make the reservation, and 2 hours before you could say to yourself, oh God, we're not going to be able to do that, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. We'll go do this instead. And you can change it. But once you pass that when they're full and they've taken all the reservations they're going to take, you could walk up to these restaurants and they will say no. Just be aware of that.
All right, editing Amanda jumping in real quick just to say that because people can cancel their reservations 2 hours in advance, that means that on the day of, like if there's a restaurant that you're trying to get to, on the day of, if people are canceling their reservations 2 hours in advance, you can get lucky to get a reservation very short notice, like the day of or the day before. So I would suggest to always keep checking the app, basically the My Disney Experience app, because again, it's like you can get get pretty lucky with last minute experience reservations, and it's always worth it to be checking because we definitely gotten some good reservations because of that, and especially with now the 2 hours in advance. So just something that I forgot to mention. But yeah, so I definitely agree. Again, like for instance, Via Napoli in Epcot, that's one of the notoriously most difficult reservations to get. Yeah, it's like notoriously is one of the most hardest ones. The most popular restaurant in Epcot. If you want to eat a Via Napoli and you walk up to that being like, can we get a table? You will not get a table.
Not get a table.
You would have had to make that reservation 60 days in advance, or again, like get lucky with the week of or something like that.
Right.
So there are a lot of restaurants like that it's good to get, again, to research beforehand. What restaurants do you want to get reservations for? What are your backup restaurants? So for instance, if you can't get a reservation for something, where is another place maybe you like to eat that you can try to get a reservation for instead?
Right.
And then what are the backups? Say like, actually, we're just going to do quick service this day. A lot of the quick service restaurants have phenomenal food.
Oh yeah, some of them are really good.
Yeah, so sometimes you don't even have to do that. But again, it's good to just research to know, especially if there's any food allergies or, again, I'm a vegetarian.
And I would say, especially if it's cold out, if it's going to be very, very cold out, or it's going to be a very, very busy time, like Christmas, Easter, weekends that are holiday weekends, things like that. You have to be more aware of those kind of times.
For sure. All right. Also within my research beforehand here, I have familiar yourself with the My Disney Experience app. So it is a bit sad that you do have to be tied to this app while you're on vacation, but unfortunately it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I'd say familiarize yourself with the app because it's much easier once you're in the parks and you're being overstimulated and overwhelmed, and now you have to use this app to try to figure all this stuff out and do mobile order and everything. And it's like, it's good to know, how does the app work? Where are all the buttons that I need to go to? What does the app look like? And I say this too. So for instance, when me and my husband went to Universal, I downloaded the Universal app when I was in Universal. I did not familiarize myself with that Universal app at all. And the Universal app is very different from the My Disney Experience app. So I felt that I did not do my own tip, right? It's like I was in that park trying to figure out this Universal app in real time, trying to figure out that park. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I should have done this beforehand, and I just didn't, right? And so yeah, so I have to say, familiar yourself with the app because you will have to use the app. Again, it does kind of suck, but again, it's one of those things that this is what it's like to go to most theme parks. You kind of need the app these days. All right, last two things from my research beforehand. Sorry, I crammed a lot into this tip. Was know the open and close times of the parks. I just put this in here because this changes throughout the year, and even throughout the same week that you're in Disney, that sometimes the parks will open and close at different times. When you're in Disney, it's usually they'll have it posted somewhere. You can ask the cast members, so it'll be pretty obvious when it is. But if you're planning on staying for a certain time, or you don't realize that there's like an after party that night and the park is closing at like a little bit earlier, sometimes that can disrupt your plans and like things that you thought you were going to do. You thought you had more time, and then suddenly you don't. And then last but not least, I just have here that you can do Disney without a plan. Like my mom was saying, like to be flexible. This is where this comes in. It just means you may not maximize the time in the parks to the best way of like seeing like all the things you may want to see and do. You just may not be able to do all of that, and that's okay as well. But that's what I'm saying. Like when you research beforehand and do plan beforehand, you're just able to maximize that time just a little bit better. But again, also just being flexible that again, not everything kind of goes as planned sometimes, and that's also okay. Right. And that relates to my top tip that I have here. But what's your top tip?
My top tip was do the research. When I looked at this and Amanda said what I had to, what I had to do for the podcast, I looked at the first tip, and the first tip was the same: research. It's just, there is so much out there right now about how much you can see on the Disney website itself, and all the different podcasts, and all the different media posts, and all the different opinions about this, that, and the other thing. Everything is out there for you to see. It's not, like I said, it's not that you have to plan to do everything and see everything, but if you just have a general idea of all the activities that are available and all the things that are available, like I said, there's no way you're going to do a park in one day. You are not going to do everything in that park unless that park is empty. And very few times we've been there when it's
or it's Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, well, yes, Animal Kingdom. We kind of do
doesn't have as much to do,
but we don't do every single thing in Animal Kingdom either.
We don't. But even if you want to do it all, you can
do Animal Kingdom in one day. It's a very rare occasion where you can't do Animal Kingdom in one day.
But again, they are building the Latin and Central America land. So
yes, they're adding
can change
that.
when that.
Yeah, so that could bring in more people at the time. But what I'm saying is that you can just the same word I keep using: overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed when you get there and try to figure out all the stuff there is to do and all the stuff there is, because you're not going to be able to do it while you're trying to go from one place to another and to enjoy the park itself. I know it's easy for us to say because we go on a regular basis and we go to the park a lot. We know that if we don't see it this year, we'll see it next time. It's not like it's all one trip. And I know some of you are going on your one big trip to Disney. So your one big trip to Disney has got to cover as much ground as you possibly can. And the only way you can do that is by being prepared. Disney is no longer, we used to get on the plane when the kids were younger, and I'd get on the Disney plane and go, I'm going on vacation, because it meant that You could just go from place to place. You could just stop and eat. You could just go into into the stores. You could get online for a ride. It wasn't this tied to your app, tied to the phone, tied to know what's going on. The parks weren't as busy as they are now because let's face it, these parks are packed. They are, they're just always packed. There's no longer a slow season at Disney. There used to be a slow season when my kids were younger. So it was just a little easier back then. Now I think the one thing that would help you, research. Just know what's out there. And then you can make your decision of what you need to do.
Yeah. Again, my top tip again is like we kind of just switched it because my first one I just wrote prioritize and don't pressure yourself to do everything. Which again, if you look up any Disney tips list, this is on every list, right? So I realize this is kind of one of those things that everyone's going to tell you, I realized. But I do think it is the most important thing because I feel like you can get overwhelmed to be like, I do want to see everything and do everything because I'm spending so much money to be here. And it's like, I want to make sure I get my full money's worth and everything. At the same time, though, then you end up not really having a good time because then now you put so much pressure on you and your family to do and see everything. Then everyone's kind of having a miserable time, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you miss a ride and you miss a show, like that's always okay because often enjoying that moment with the family and with the people that you're with when you're in Disney, or even if you're by yourself on a solo trip, enjoying that moment with yourself is often more important, and making those memories is more important than going on a specific ride or seeing a specific show or doing a specific thing, because no matter what, you're still together and you're still building those core memories regardless of what you're doing, right? You're still in Disney. So it's like some of our funniest memories are things that when we did miss something or something went wrong and then we laugh about
just
it
hanging out,
come,
just
right?
doing like practically nothing. Yes.
Yeah, it's like that's when you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, remember when this happened? And then it's like, again, that's what builds the core memories, right? So it's one of those things that every Disney tips list is going to say it, but I do think it really is the most important. It's just like to be flexible, to not pressure yourself to do everything. Make sure you just prioritize the top things you really do want to do so you can squeeze those in. But otherwise, though, it's like you really do just want to enjoy the moment, enjoy building those memories with family. Because again, you're paying a lot of money to go, so you want to enjoy when you're there. Right. So, but all right, I think that's our top 10 tips there. A lot of little bonus tips in between there too. But do you have any other bonus tips that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of what is important when your first trip to Disney.
Yeah, we can always do another like top tips thing as well in the future too. So, and again, if you have tips that we missed, definitely let us know on our Instagram, Almost Amanda X2, so that way we can share them with everyone else. And again, do maybe like a part 2 to this, or like again a general top tips for maybe your second or third time to go to Disney.
Well, plus I think there's like we don't have little children anymore. I mean, we're
these
all
more
adults.
generic, I would say.
Yes,
so.
we don't have little babies. We don't have babies in carriages. We don't have babies that have to be taken care of or done anything. So that's where somebody who may listen to this may say, well, gee, I have little kids and I think this is the best. That could be a new tip that, if you have little tiny children, I can't speak to that because my children are, going to be 30 years old and over. So I can't speak to little children anymore. It's just that I think some of our tips of being flexible and doing your research and knowing what you're actually going to try to look at and see would help even with the little kids.
For sure. But all right, let's transition into some Disney news now. So very exciting Disney news. So first, basically all the Christmas decor is now up in the parks and the resorts, which is really fun. So yeah, so if you go into any of the parks and resorts, all the Christmas trees are up, all the fun festive things, all of the after parties are going on as well now too. So that's all really great to see. A lot of the gingerbread displays are also up in the resorts. We also have the Merry Menagerie is back in Animal Kingdom, and those are those animal puppets that walk around. So a lot of people are excited that they brought those back. I don't know, everyone always thinks they're not going to bring those back every year, and then they do. So it's like
they do. Yes,
Instagram always goes crazy for those animals. Also want to note that the Pop Century lobby refurbishment is finally complete as well. That took a few months there. They basically just put up all new murals on the walls. It's very colorful and fun. It's like a little bit retro themed is what I would say, but it looks really cool. From November 28th to November 30th is the Candlelight Procession in Epcot, so those will be starting as well very soon. So some notable names this year is Constance Wu, Jordan Fisher, Brendan Fraser, and Brie Larson. If you just Google the Candlelight Procession at Epcot, you can see the full schedules of who is doing the Candlelight Procession and when. I definitely suggest seeing this show at least once because it is a really lovely show to see. And all the people who sing in the show are actual Disney cast members. They do not get paid extra to do the Candlelight Procession. It's fully volunteer and on their own time that they do this, and it's really lovely to see that. I've listened to a few podcasts of people sharing their experiences doing it, and they say it is really fun, and it's always like something great that you want to do, right? All right, and I thought this would be a fun time to talk about last week when the Beach Boys were doing their little show as part of the Food and Wine Festival, right? So the Beach Boys went up. They again, it's like the Candlelight Procession kind of takes over that stage where instead of doing shows with bands, they do the Candlelight Procession. But for Food and Wine and for the Flower and Garden Festival, they have the Garden Rocks, and then I forget what the Food and Wine one is called, but the equivalent where they just have some bands come in, they play like 3 times a night, different songs.
Eat to the beat.
Eat to the beat, yeah. It's like 15 to 20 minute sets, very short sets. But again, the Beach Boys were coming, so a big name in their own right? And then it was rumored during the day that John Stamos was going to come and perform with them. So our friends had gone that night to see the Beach Boys. They're like, oh, let's go, it'll be fun. They said when they arrived, if you know the parks, they were walking around the World Showcase past China, and they saw this line. They're like, wow, what's this line for in China? They kept walking, and when they got to the American Pavilion, which is 4 pavilions away, mind you, they realized that was the line to get into the area to sit down for the Beach Boys. They were shocked.
Right. And my friend Jane, who's close to my age, said that, you had all of the older people there for the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
You had all the millennials there for Uncle Jesse. And then you had just the normal people there that were there just to be in Epcot.
For food
and
and wine.
what's going on?
Yeah.
She said, we've all been there at New Year's Eve. And she said it was actually worse than New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
You could not get through the crowd. It was just so packed that she was just amazed at the amount of people that were there.
From the photos and videos I saw too, it looked like the concert was great. Everyone was having a great time.
She said it was a great time.
Yeah,
yes.
Everyone seemed like they're having a great time. Good weather too that night. It wasn't raining or anything.
Yes, it was a
well.
nice night. Everything was good.
But I just thought that was crazy.
Yes, she said it was amazing.
Yeah, sometimes they do get those big names and people will wait forever to see the Beach Boys, see John Stamos.
Yes. My friend lives right outside of Disney. And I told her, I said, when I look at those concerts, I say to her, I'd be at Epcot every week looking at all these new people. It's a free concert. Just get in the park and go listen.
Included with your ticket is what it is.
She has an annual. She has a resident annual pass.
Yeah.
Her and her daughter and her family have a resident annual pass. Yeah. So they walk in and like she said, they go to just snack around the countries and then listen to the music. And she said they went in to snack around the countries and couldn't believe the crowds that were there. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I just thought it was really funny to see. So, all right, let's transition to some Disney birthdays. So actually everything is happening all on the same day. So on November 27th, it is Kronk's birthday. So happy birthday to Kronk. And it's also as well Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to anyone who celebrates here in the US. I actually know we have a lot of European listeners. So sorry, but in America, we have Thanksgiving here last Thursday of November. Couldn't tell you why, honestly. I'm not sure why it's the last Thursday of November, not a specific day, but that's how America does it. And then on November 30th, we have Hector's birthday. He is the character in Coco. So Miguel's great grandfather in Coco. So it's Hector's birthday. Happy birthday to him. And also on November 30th is my friend Mia's birthday. So happy birthday also to Mia.
Happy birthday,
And
Mia.
that leaves us with our final segment of the podcast, our Disney memories. Do you have a Disney memory?
Yes, I do.
Podcast?
I have a Disney memory that goes right with what we were talking about. When we first went to Disney, Luke was about 2 years old. My son was about 2 years old. I remember we went during Christmas and it was my birthday. My birthday's in December and it was my birthday. We went to, Epcot, and this was when we first, I think it was the first or second trip to Disney, one or the other. I think it was the second trip maybe. But we went to Disney and we went to Epcot and it was cold. It was cold and windy for a December. We tried to get into every restaurant that night. Every restaurant, the answer was no, we're not taking walk-ups. No, we're not taking walk-ups. No, we're not taking walk-ups. We ended up in the French bakery. I had to buy a piece of quiche for Luke and a piece of quiche. We got quiche, okay? And we couldn't even find any place to sit inside in the little section that they had or whatever. We had to sit outside on a concrete bench to eat dinner. Okay. I had Luke wrapped up in like 3 different sweatshirts. He was in his stroller. We were sitting on a concrete bench. He was, trying to eat. And I said to myself, from that point forward, I said, we are never going to Disney without reservations for a restaurant. So that cured me after I learned my lesson that when you're there during that kind of season,
especially those busy seasons.
Yes. It's one of the it is one of the busier weeks, but it wasn't even Christmas week. We weren't even we were 2 weeks before Christmas. It just happened to be that it was busy and it was cold and everybody was inside the restaurants and we just got, the only thing we could eat was a piece of quiche out on a stone bench. So that's why I learned my lesson. And when I say be prepared, you need to be prepared because we were not. We went from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant and then said, look, kids starving, we're starving, we have to eat something. And that's how we ended up in the freezing cold outside eating quiche for my birthday.
I know, mine is similar to that because that's so years ago. Now Florida it was so cold that at the time this was the record cold temperatures for the state of Florida. So it was below freezing. So it was in the 20s in Florida. Yes. And so in Celsius again would have been the negatives, right? It was below freezing, at least in 20s Fahrenheit. But it was very cold. We were not expecting it to be that cold. And I remember we just were wearing sweatshirts, right? We didn't have real jackets. I specifically remember walking down Animal Kingdom and seeing the Tree of Life and being the absolute coldest I've ever felt my entire life. But specifically as well, on this trip, we were in the Grand Floridian and there's one of the shops there that sells sell regular clothing, not like the Disney clothing. And I remember there was this scarf that I kept seeing that I just like loved this scarf. I really wanted this scarf. And my mom was like, I'm not buying the scarf. Like, we're spending so much money in this park. Like, whatever. I'm not buying all this stuff. But it was so cold that my mom, on like the third day, she was like, all right, we'll get you the scarf. Right? And I still have the scarf. It's in that drawer over there. Actually,
I had to get the scarf. And that was one of those seasons where they didn't have anything else.
Yeah, there was very
that just happened to be like a little,
it was not a
souvenir.
Disney. It wasn't a Disney scarf. Yes. It was just a scarf, a gray scarf.
I think it just had a little Mickey at the bottom.
No, this one has nothing. Yeah.
Oh,
this one
wow.
wasn't even Disney scarf. Yeah, I just know I got it in Disney.
Yes. I'm telling you.
Again, it's like there wasn't a lot of Disney apparel at that time, but I remember being so cold that my mom caved and she bought me the scarf, and I used to wear that scarf like every day.
Yeah, it was an expensive scarf because that
very expensive.
shop in the Grand Floridian is very expensive.
So very expensive. But I still have the scarf to this day. Right, it's like something I'll never get rid of, and it still is cute. I mean, like lasted the tail of time style wise.
Yeah.
But I just never forget because it was so cold and it was just so freezing.
Now, like I said, these days you don't have to worry about that because when it's cold out, there's Disney hats, Disney scarves, Disney gloves, Disney coats.
The exciting thing, they have finally brought the Sherpa hats from Disneyland Tokyo to the parks here in America. So Disneyland had them first, and now Disney World had them only in Epcot. They sold out immediately. I have not seen another drop. I'm really hoping they do another drop when we go in January because I would love a Disney World Sherpa hat. Now, of course, when I go to Disneyland Tokyo, I probably will get one there anyway. But it has the little tag on it that says Walt Disney World. I'm like, that's what I want, is to have like the parks I go to say a little Walt Disney World tag on it, and they are so cute. And I realized you can buy that Sherpa hat from a lot of places. Like Box Lunch sells it. I think like a few other places sell like the knockoff ones. Not knockoff, but like they're like Disney branded still, but they're not the same as the ones you get in the parks. And that's the one I want, is the one in the parks. But yeah, so it's like I would love to get that hat one day. But anyway, yeah, like my mom said, it's like when it starts to rain, when it's cold, when it's hot, like the stuff comes out of nowhere.
They pull
right?
the stuff out. Yes. And even now, like even when you're there in the summer now, they sell the rain jackets. They sell some of the wintery stuff because they know people are buying this stuff to bring it home. And I used to say that when we used to go. I used to say, why don't they have winter stuff? Even if people are here in Florida and it's 60 degrees, they have to go home to Minnesota, to New Jersey, to Massachusetts. They have to go home to their homes where if they were buying this stuff, they would bring it home and wear it. And I just couldn't understand why Disney didn't do that.
I think it just took them a long time to like figure out the manufacturer.
Yes, and just all of a sudden, then I said, oh, somebody woke up and did that. They're now selling everything you need for winter, summer, whatever you need.
There's some cute stuff. There are some really cute jackets that I would love that I see that I'm like, but I really don't need it, so I refrain from purchasing it. But I'm a jacket person. It's like I have to really refrain from buying
I don't
jackets.
need any more Disney merchandise. I have enough Disney stuff to wear.
Again, there's a lot of great stuff too. And also on the winter coat thing, if you go to the Norway Pavilion, they sell really nice name branded like Norwegian coats and jackets and
their stuff's not even Disney stuff.
It's not. It's like actual name
stuff.
brand, and it's like ski things as well too. Ski and snowboarding equipment or clothing rather. Again, really nice stuff. My dad has one of those jackets from there. So just say if you're actually looking for like name brand stuff, the Norway Pavilion has it. But again, only in that pavilion. You cannot get that stuff anywhere else. Like I was saying before, some of these souvenirs are very exclusive to where you are.
Yes.
So
if you see it, pick it up because you're not going to see it anyplace else.
But all right, thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. And make sure you let us know what are your top tips for going to Disney World, especially as a first timer. We would love to know, and maybe we'll share your tip in our next episode. So we'd love to know your thoughts. Let us know when you're going to Disney World. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out on Instagram.